Hello and welcome to Viva Pod Vegas. Oh, thank you very much for listening. This is episode 32, Charro, from 1969. Yeehaw! I'm Mike Manzi.
And I'm Joey Lewandowski. Mike, this is the first of 3 films Elvis did in 1969, the final year that he made movies. We only have 2 movies left after this.
Wow.
Trouble with Girls and Change of Habit.
Oh, boy.
Vince Hackett's gang steals a prized victory cannon from Mexico and blames the deed on ex-gang member Jess Wade, who wants to go straight. I mean, that's not really what the movie's about. That's like the setup to the movie. Like, none of that happens in the movie.
Who's Charro? I thought Charro was a person.
Do you know what Charro means?
Is Charro the town? No,
Charro just means horseman.
Oh, I'm so ignorant. I was never aware of that. All the westerns I watched and all that shit, I never picked that up.
So Charro is just like, hey, you're like a cowboy, horseman, wild guy, whatever, stallion, breeder, breaker.
Yeah, he's got that one great scene, but other than that, I mean, it's not really about being a cowboy. But we'll get there.
We have no emails to read today. If you want to email in King, K-I-N-G, at cageclub.me, we've got 2 more episodes at least, and then, who knows, we'll do something after that, who knows. But at least 2, and, 1 a month, so in about 4 weeks and in about 8 weeks. King at cageclub.me. But Mike, we got 3 taglines today for Charro. Are you ready to pick your favorites?
Never ready, but okay. Here we go.
Number 1. On his neck, he wore the brand of a killer. On his hip, he wore vengeance.
Oh, that's really good. It's actually
a tagline.
I like that. Yeah, I'd watch that movie even without Elvis.
Number 2. This answers your question from earlier, kind of.
Okay.
All capital letters, Elvis Presley, as the one called, all capital letters, Charro. Elvis Presley is the one called Charro.
Oh, so he is the titular Charro that we're talking about.
He's in the bar in the beginning, like, hey, Charro, what do you want, Charro?
But then they start calling him Jesse and Jess and stuff like that. So I was like, was the town Charro? I couldn't.
No, his name is Jess Wade.
Yes, and he is the Charro.
Mm-hmm.
You are not Charro. You are a Charro.
And then number 3, correct. A different kind of role, ... a different kind of man.
No, because this was where he started doing these westerns, doing like straight westerns and acting, like pulling out, you know what I'm saying? Like busting out the chops. Mm-hmm. I like the first one's great.
Okay.
I'm kind of overwhelmed by they were able to come up with that. On his hip, he wears vengeance. Was that it?
On his neck, he wore the brand of a killer.
Yeah.
On his hip, he wore vengeance. I guess the brand of a killer, that Vince is a killer and he branded Elvis. He's not being branded as a killer.
Well, he's branded and then set up as the wanted man who stole the cannon.
So written, directed, and produced by Charles Marquis Warren, the creator of Gunsmoke and Rawhide, which we talked about last episode.
Yeah.
Also produced by George Templeton. Cinematography by Ellsworth Fredericks, who did the 1956 Invasion of the Body Snatcher. This was of note. This is Charles Marquis Warren's final film, so he sort of rode off into the sunset with this one.
Nice.
Elvis plays Jess Wade. Ina Balin, definitely pronouncing that wrong. Apologies to everybody who's listening. As Tracy Winters, best known from the film From the Terrace in 1960. She received 2 Golden Globe Award nominations and won one for Most Promising Newcomer Female.
Interesting. Just going down her list that pops up on Google. I've seen a movie she's in. I've seen The Patsy, but I don't remember her from much. But
don't know.
She's great in this. She's gorgeous. Plays like the madam, I guess. Mm-hmm.
We've got Victor French as Vince Hackett, remembered for roles in the television programs Gunsmoke, Little House on the Prairie, Highway to Heaven, and Carter Country. He's the main bad guy in this, the main antagonist.
He's the guy with Michael Landon on Highway to Heaven. He's like the angels, because Michael Landon is like an earth angel, and he sees like this invisible guy, and I guess that's him. Wow.
I guess so. We've got Barbara Worley as Sarah Ramsey, best known for her role in Seconds. Which is debatable because she's not very high billed in that. I don't remember her in that movie. She was also in Tickle Me and Harem Scarum. She had small roles in each. I think she is probably, she's the sheriff's wife.
She's awesome. Dude, I can't wait to talk about that. Seconds, please go out and watch Seconds.
Yes.
It was crazy.
And then we also have Solomon Sturgis as Billy Roy Hackett. Don't have a lot on him. There's other people in the cast, but basically, all you need to know is Jess and Vince on opposite sides of friendship or whatever. And then there's Tracy. There's the sheriff who is not really known from stuff. And the sheriff's wife.
Yeah. All
This movie was shot on location in Apache Land Movie Ranch and Old Tucson Studios in Arizona. This is the only Elvis Presley film in which he did not sing on screen.
Yeah, kind of wild to be this far down the dusty trail and not stop for a campfire song or anything like that. It's pretty, I'm not complaining. It was just shocking. It was shocking.
This is also the only movie in which he wore a beard.
Yeah, Joey. He has like a real beard, not like the last movie where he falls asleep for like a couple days on the couch and he wakes up with like, the makeup beard looking kind of thing. Like here, he grew a beard, and Elvis.
No, it was a big deal because so big of a deal, in fact, that his Memphis Mafia cohorts showed their support by also growing beards. Like, you can grow a beard, we're gonna grow a beard with you,
dude. That only. All right, good on them for solidarity. Imagine if like E got cancer and had to shave his head. You'd think that the Memphis Mafia would be all shaving their heads for maybe.
Film was novelized, so this is important for you.
Yes,
novelization by Harry Whittington. So if you want to read Charro, Harry Whittington's Charro,
I wouldn't mind reading the scene where he breaks that horse. That's wild. That's crazy to watch.
So the film was a profit. It made a profit. Was not a smash hit. It was one of his least seen films. Remains so, despite being regarded as one of the best in terms of his acting as opposed to his singing. Budget of $2.5 million. Elvis was paid $850,000 plus 50% of the profits as normal. And I realized finally, we've been talking about this for like 15 movies now, right? This deal where he gets like $1 million or a little bit less than half the money.
Yeah.
It feels really like this is the Nicolas Cage thing, where he's like, I'm going to take half your budget, but like your movie's going to be seen.
Yeah. That's very true, right? Like, I mean, people must have been doing that as well as Elvis, right? Like, that must have been like a standard movie star kind of situation where it was like, they're going to come because I'm in it. So you're definitely going to make back what you're paying me. So just pay me what I want to get paid. And like, we're good to go, Yep.
The role of Jess Wade, do you know who was originally offered to?
I'm gonna take a stab in the dark, and I'm gonna go with another singer turned Western star, and I'm gonna say, what's his fucking name?
I will tell you, whatever name is, it's not right because it's Clint Eastwood.
Oh wow, yeah, that's not right. Was
Clint Eastwood said no?
Was he doing his westerns yet?
I don't know. So Elvis practiced his quick draw with Clint Eastwood because he really was like, I want to show that I know what I'm doing in this movie. I want to be like a horse guy. I want to be a gun guy. I want to be like a Western guy. Clint, can you please help me? And Clint helped him.
Really? Okay.
Because Elvis also did his own horse riding in the film, which is pretty cool.
All right. I was thinking of Dean Martin. Dean Martin was in like Rio Bravo or something, and he was excellent. I mean, granted, he played a washed up drunk gunslinger, and he kind of was like a classic drunk. Yeah, there's something about like a lot of actors went on and did westerns around this time. Maybe I don't think to break in because they were already in the industry, but I think like westerns were just really hot and they liked them. He is good in this too. He is
good in this. Working titles for the film: Jack Valentine. Don't know. Johnny Hung. What? Come hell or come sundown.
Dude, Johnny Hung?
Johnny Hung.
That's like a fucking porn star name.
I know.
Johnny Hung. Dude, someone call Kevin Smith and tell him to use
there's not even...
Johnny Hung.
There's no hanging in this movie. You know what I mean? Like, it's not even a play on something that happens. It's just like Johnny Hung.
Yeah, you got to work the canon into the title, like the Cannon Thief or like Showdown at Cannon Bay, Cannon something or other, right? Like
Cannonball Run.
There you go. Hey, speaking of Dean Martin.
So Elvis loved the serious song-free script, but was disappointed to learn the script was changed a lot by the time he got to set. Apparently it was changed at one point. When he got to set, they're like, your character's name is Jesus. He's like, no, it's not.
Wait, what? But they weren't going to call him. They were going to say Jesus, right? Like, you can't call Elvis Jesus.
I do not know.
But
he had his character name changed from Jesus to Jess.
Joey, we've watched a lot of movies between the two of us. Have you ever, aside from maybe Big Lebowski, has there ever been a character named Jesus that wasn't about Christ himself? Like, I can't.
Probably, but also, I don't know. I mean, also, if you write a character like that, like you're alluding to something, right?
Exactly.
So...
And I don't see any of that metaphor throughout this film.
So the original opening scene featured female nudity, but was changed to focus on a gunfight. However, many violent scenes later in the movie were dropped altogether, including a close-up and a longer edit of the branding scene. And there was a scene featuring a nude Tracy getting out of the bathtub, which was removed.
This is
Although
close.
that scene was been restored, and there's a complete unedited version. So this movie's on Prime,
I gotta see
along with
that.
Clambake and Frankie and Johnny.
Okay.
Don't be pervy.
No, is it I want for posterity. I'm a cinephile. I need to be a completist here. We're doing Elvis. If I knew there was a different version,
I don't know where you find it though, because it seems like the one that's on TV, the one that's on Prime, the one that's available really to watch is this one.
Yeah, it's probably not readily available at the moment. It's probably going to be on some box set or some. I don't have very many. I haven't checked the special features. I have no idea, but there is. This is a pretty like like the when he goes to the saloon. Like it's a whorehouse. It just is, like they don't say it. And she's in the bath. She comes out and puts on that wet, like negligee or whatever. And they're like
very see-through, although the important bits are covered up, but it is very see-through.
And later in the movie, like people are exploded. People are blown to bits. People are just like the sheriff. The sheriff is blown to bits in his own house after getting shot like 7 times. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
It is hype. It is for an Elvis movie, and actually for just a typical Western. I feel like they were probably trying to lean into some of that Sergio Leone stuff as much as they could at the because it was more violent. Like Peckinpah was out and about doing his thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, well, I have thoughts. We will get to that in a second.
All right.
Because there was a real demand for Elvis movies, Westerns, Elvis in Westerns at the time. Apparently, Warren Beatty wanted to co-star with him in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. John Wayne wanted him to co-star with him in True Grit.
Whoa!
Again, who knows if this is true or just internet gossip, whatever. But Colonel Tom said, you'll only get him if he's top billed. And they're like, no.
Oh my God. I don't even want...
And so instead of starring in those movies, he started movies like this.
Mom, Elvis must be top billed. He is top billed. He is the E. E is basically the letter A. You must understand. I'm writing everything down. I feel like it's been a minute since the Colonel showed up.
The real upside here, though, Mike, that you need to keep in mind is that even though he was not in movies that are like classics that have stood the test of time, he got paid more money for this one. So,
And like, well, I'm not going to put this on par with Butch and Sundance or anything like that. However, like this is way better than what I was expecting coming out. Like this is just like you could have basically put like Eastwood in this and it probably would have been the same movie. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't think Elvis is doing any less than Eastwood would have been doing at this time. I really think like he is comfortable in this kind of role.
Yep. Elvis said this is one of his favorite films he ever worked on, which is very good. Very cool. Very good.
Nice.
It's also been strongly reassessed as one of his best films, and his performance as Jess has been called the most convincing of his career. Many films believe this is a new phase of his career should have been ahead for him after this film and Change of Habit, but the concert stage beckoned. Despite the critical reassessment, film was not well received at the time. Fans were put off by the lack of songs. Critics were generally unimpressed. However, like I said earlier, the film was successful at the box office.
I don't know. I kind of believed him as a tour guide in Blue Hawaii. I think that is very believable. No, but I know what they're talking about, and I agree with all that.
He's like, I don't want to I want to finish that because there's only a couple more notes, but like, it's just a bummer that it feels like Elvis, whether it's through his choice, studio's choice, Colonel Tom's allowance, whatever. He's at a point in his career where like, hey, I can try new things. I can try, I can be different. I don't have to sing all these things. I don't have to be like running around with girls. I can be in a Western. I can do whatever. And then it's like, cool. What are you gonna do next? It's like, we'll never act again. Right? Like we're so close to like a pivot point where it's like, oh, we could be really cool here. And then nah.
You know what it is too? It's like all of this time and all this work, he's been like going through the ringer, through the system, cutting his teeth, like finding his voice, all that kind of shit. And like, it seems like with, especially like the last movie was like a pitch perfect Elvis comedy. This is like a pitch perfect Elvis Western. It's like, I don't want to, I'm not trying to look down the line at the last 2 movies, but it just seems to be like, as he's finding his zone, he's going to stop making movies, which is a big shame. Yeah.
Not really trivia about this movie, but Quentin Tarantino used the name of Charro's director, Charles Marquis Warren, for the Samuel L. Jackson character in The Hateful Eight. He is Major Marquis Warren.
Oh, okay.
So that's some cool. Respect to him. Maybe probably less so for this and more so for Gunsmoke.
I mean, he's a big Elvis guy, right? There's like that. Well, Vince is basically Elvis on heroin in Pulp Fiction, but there's like that deleted scene, a Beatles man or an Elvis man.
Yes,
when she comes out with the camera.
So while filming this movie, this is something that Jude wrote in about an episode or two ago. While filming this movie, he'd already completed the sequences and recorded the songs for the 68 comeback special, and he
Oh,
was feeling resurgence and confidence in his music, so he returned to produce and record more songs for this movie with the help of this producer. And they recorded a song called Let's Forget About the Stars, which never made its way into the movie, and it appeared on the budget album Let's Be Friends in 1970.
interesting. Yeah. I mean, although there is only the one title song, the score of the film
Score is good.
is
It also like plays with the theme, like it plays on like the
yes,
Charro theme, like it keeps
exactly.
returning to it.
Yeah, it reminds me of like what Robert Rodriguez likes to do a lot, whereas like he'll have a theme and he'll just alter it with different instruments and different tempos throughout the movie, but you always kind of recognize that through line. And it almost had a
Yes,
bit of a James Bond thing at
a little bit.
times, where it would be like, dun, na, 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 but then like go into its own.
Well, my first note is that like if you're only gonna have one song in your movie, you better make it a good one. I'm like, it is a good one. Like it's not like a classic Elvis song, but like for what it's trying to do for the movie, it's a good song.
Yeah. And they basically play it the whole movie, right? Like it's like running in the
Yes,
background
yes.
the whole movie.
So my takeaway, because you mentioned me, and we were supposed to record this a couple days ago, and I got busy, and so we rescheduled. And you said probably gonna be a shorter episode. There's not enough plot here. There's not enough anything.
I was thinking more so because there's like not 8 songs we have to go through
Well, there's not eight
either.
songs. There's not like things I've never seen in a movie before. There's just not enough plot. But I was thinking again, probably reminded because this guy made Gunsmoke and Rawhide, and because I listened to Bananas for Bonanza, where Andy Daly and Matt Gorley and guests are
Nice.
working their way through all the bananas, the Bonanza episodes. Can you imagine how fun it would have been to have an Elvis Western TV show where he just like it's like a 50-minute
Mm,
thing every week for 30 weeks? I mean, he would never do it because like he's the biggest star in the world, but like this is an episode of Bonanza or whatever
yeah,
stretched out to 99 minutes. Like
pretty much.
this is a TV episode length where it's like
Yeah.
canon is stolen, bad guys have it, bad guys frame good guy for it, good guy has to clear his name, whatever.
Hmm.
Like you could easily without losing anything condense this down to 50-55 minutes, like which is like what a TV show was, because we didn't have 20 minutes of commercials, we had like 5 minutes or 8 minutes of
Yeah.
commercials, right? So like you could easily condense this down. I'm just like, man, like we were robbed. Like, I would love to see Elvis as like small town deputy, right? Like he gets deputized in this movie. Can you imagine if he just like
Ooh.
was a deputy on a TV show, even that ran a season or two, like at the start of his career, the end, like whatever. I was
Well,
like, man, I feel like we were robbed of this thing that never would have happened.
I definitely would have loved that. I could see that. Like you're right though. Like I feel like a reason why those shows, the Western shows, became so popular, like it because it feels like an episode of Wild Wild West, where like we got to call in Jim West and come in here to
Hmm.
like see who stole the cannon, and like he would bump into Elvis, who's like wanted and shit, and it would pop off. But like the reason I feel is because westerns are super fucking simple. They've always been. There's never been a lot of complexity to the plot. It's usually like subtext or like, we're talking about racism or something like that, or alcoholism or just being brave and that kind of thing but yeah, like the searchers, they're looking for a missing girl the entire movie.
Hmm.
Like there's not a whole lot about it, but it's about like what goes on between the characters. So like where I agree that there isn't like a lot of plot here, I like the characters, I like the town folks, I like the feud between him and the bad guy's brother is amazing.
Yeah.
Like he's so annoying. He's such an asshole. Like he's so well written and so well performed, Like they do other flourishes in westerns, but yeah, it's like it's because you could have a show every week and the show could literally be like someone stole my horse. And it's like, "Oh shit. That's this week's episode. Let's go deal with that." But
Like it's
yeah, I
amazing to me, like listening to Bananas for Bonanza, how like thin the plots are. It's just like some guy comes to town and like does a weird thing, and they have to like deal with it, or just like he's there, and it's like
think
okay,
about like what about bounty law, right? Like the premise to that. Like every week he just brings in a different bounty. Like it's really just the same thing every fucking week, right? But it's
hmm,
about like who he brings in and who plays the guy and like who the guest star is and things like and so like I feel like westerns early on started doing that by creating stars like John Wayne or having, people from other walks of life come in and be like, "Oh, he's in that like he's in that movie. What's he doing in this Western or
Yeah.
something? So I think that's how Elvis kind of got here too, but I don't know.
Everything you said, I think, is true. I think the townsfolk are great. I think the brother of the bad guy is, really annoying and weaselly and like exactly the kind of like bad movie villain that you want to like hate. The one issue I sort of had with this, again, because, this movie is 55 years old and I don't know who any of these people are, is like, I'm like, is this Tracy? Is this, because he's like, he walks into the saloon slash, bordello, whatever.
Yeah.
And he like watches a can girl for a while. I'm like, is this Tracy? And then he like just goes and talks to a woman and kisses that woman. I'm like, is this Tracy? But like that entire scene, which is like naturalistic, it's like they don't say each other's names. I'm like, I assume this is Tracy because she's also like, this is why you left me before. I'm like, well, why were you just ogling the can girl? So like, my one drawback with this movie, other than I just think it's there's not enough here for a 99-minute thing, is I'm like, I wish you just explained who people were. Like, we've heard of Tracy, right? Like, Elvis basically left the gang because he wanted to go straight, but also because of Tracy. And we know that Tracy's going to pop up in this movie at some point, especially because you look at IMDb and she's like second build. But it's like, who's Tracy? Like, which one's Tracy? Just tell me who Tracy is, and then we're going to be good.
But once we get her, she's a great, she's great.
A great character.
Like, she's a proprietor of the place. She's a female business owner in the Old West. Kind of reminds me a lot of Deadwood, this movie, like just the way the town is sort of peculiar in that sense where it's like,
it really does also, edge toward adult.
Yeah.
I mean, Deadwood is like the most adult, whatever. But like, this is like, in considering what we've been talking about for the last couple of years while doing the show, or the last 6 years, how we started before COVID. I don't know.
Wow. I can't believe that.
We took a long time off, but I like that they're doing something new with Elvis. It's like I don't know that this is somewhere in the middle of my, like, I still, the ranking is nebulous. I don't really know where things fall. Like, it's in the middle somewhere for me, but like, in terms of what it is, in terms of what it could be, like, in terms of where we could go, it's exciting. Just like to know that there's only 2 movies left is like, that's a bummer.
Let me bring this up because like we do other shows together. And last month we did a new Nicolas Cage movie, The Gunslingers, and it was a Western. Okay.
Yeah.
Now let's just compare the two briefly. All right. This one is way better, has way more plot, has way more going on, has like way better characters, was made way longer ago. You know what I'm saying? So like, if you compare it to the Western we watched last month that came out this year, isn't it kind of mind blowing? Like how much better this one's playing. And it's like, it's kind of, I know I just said there's more going on, but it's just as thin. It's pretty much just a one point premise.
Correct. Well, I will also say that there is a new Nicolas Cage movie that we have yet to cover called The Surfer, which is better than any Elvis movie by like an order of magnitude.
Well, I know. But the two are intertwined in our lives.
I mean, that's also like, that sort of furthers my point where it's like, they're on to something here. He's working with, I don't know if you call him an auteur, but like a known quantity, right? Like a guy who,
well, the guy definitely
made 2 really famous, successful shows.
Yeah.
Making a movie starring Elvis. It's like, okay. And clearly, again, without Colonel Tom in the picture, who knows like what would have happened in any regard? Who knows if Elvis ever would have acted in a movie at all? Maybe he just would have like toured internationally. That would have been it. But like to be like, oh no, he could have been like the Sundance Kid or whatever. Just like, oh wow.
You know what else I like about this, which is just crazy. It's the more I think about this movie, the crazier it is that it even exists because there is like zero date appeal. Like you can't like. Kids aren't going to this for a date, like the new Elvis. This new Elvis movie, it's not like, honey, let's go see the new Elvis movie. Like teenagers are not going to see this. This is like couples, like older couples, if anything, or like middle-aged dudes, or like, I'm sure there's some youngsters that loved Westerns and things, but like the family is not coming to see Charro. There's too much violence and implied sexual innuendo and things like that, like the canon itself is a giant dick. You know what I mean? Like you can't, it just is.
Have you ever
like
seen cannons literally shooting dynamite? Like that's wild to me.
Dude,
like,
the dynamite guy. I love that guy, the fucking pyro, whoever he was. And he's like, you know what an extra inch of wick could do to an explosion?
You miss it by yards,
I never
man.
thought of that.
Although they are doing things that are like remarkable, like, oh yeah, like we can just like drop it in the middle of town, just like scare people. Or like they maybe know where the sheriff is like convalescing and they like blow him up. It's just like not blow him up, but like they kill him.
No, they do blow him up after shooting him full of holes at one point. But and also just like there's a lot of cool things that they thought of, like the idea of branding Elvis. Like Elvis literally goes back to the gang and is like, turn yourselves in. And they're like, you're an idiot. Like, we're going to brand you and frame you. Like, that's a great little like idea there to work. We don't see the brand for a while or anything, but just the concept is like pretty brutal that Elvis is going to be disfigured at the beginning of his movie.
Well, so I thought, so when they, before we see the branding, they're like, here's the wanted poster, wanted in United States and Mexico. If we found in the United States, turn him over to the Mexican police, whatever. He's 6'2", dark hair, blah, 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 basically beautiful, looks like Elvis, and has a mark on his neck. And like, the first time we see him, he's in this like green cowboy outfit with like a white shirt and a red bandana around his neck. I'm just like, oh, he's already marked. And then so like to have the movie to brand him, it's just like, oh, like I thought that was like a weird thing. It's like, oh, I thought you were already hiding that like this was a thing.
Okay.
But like it's a weird like evil, like a mad genius kind of thing where it's like, I'm gonna plant this description of Elvis with this characteristic that I'm going to apply to him. Not like it's like if I'm describing you, it's just like, yeah, you know, it's like he's 5'11", he's pretty thin, he's got all these tattoos, he's missing an eye. You're like, I'm not missing an eye. You're like, not yet. You know what I mean? Like it's just like a weird like way to like you have to find. I don't know. It's strange.
I like that. I like it because of that, you know, like it just sets it apart. You know, it's just the movie where it's not just the movie where Elvis gets branded. It's the Western where Elvis gets branded, you know, in my opinion. Like that's sort of where I'm looking at it for now, but I don't know. I think it plays with the tropes perfectly. You know, and this guy is just like, he was a wizard at Westerns. He knew exactly how to pull it off. I mean, they could remake this now and push the limits a little further. You know what I'm saying? You could probably think of like a longer third act or like another place for this to go, somewhere in the middle, perhaps, you know, but I don't know. I'm into it.
I just think it's weird that like, so they have the canon. This canon is stolen before the movie begins. The canon is off screen until they show Elvis where the canon is. And the canon goes away until they need to, like, he comes into town just like, you better let my brother go, or like, we're going to cause a lot of trouble. Elvis like, I'm never letting your brother go. They load the cannon up with dynamite the town, and then Elvis, by himself, bum rushes the cannon with a single pistol, and then somehow kills them all, and also accidentally, like, or intentionally, who knows, shoots the cannon to like get off its wheels and like crush the brother against the tree. And then the gang leader is out of bullets, and so Elvis is like, freeze, and the guy just like gives up and the movie ends. It's like, what like, that's not, it felt like there was like an anticlimactic, like where Elvis has to do something with the candle.
It felt more exciting watching it than the way you were just like kind of going through the plot and stuff. But yeah, like, I don't know. I thought there was a good sort of like tit for tat thing going on at points where it's like they brand Elvis and leave him for dead, but he crawls his way like across the desert. He comes across that group. It reminded me of Breath of the Wild. Like he does a Link from Breath of the Wild. He comes across the group of horses and he gets the one around the neck and he tames it and he bucks with it, and that's a great sequence. Whoever the stunt person is, I know Elvis was doing some of that. It looked like he was doing some of it, but then he like gets to the town before the bad guys, and they want like some R&R, so he's got like the jump on them, and now he's got the hostage. But then they blow the shit out of the town with the cannon and stuff. So yeah, he goes back and he like single-handedly has like a shootout with everybody, and he's like a crack shot. And then the cannon like rolls downhill and crushes that one guy at the end, which was, again, that was interesting. Everyone was like looking at it. It was almost like Austin Powers, where they're like, no, don't. Like it's rolling. And the guy's like, stop it, brother, stop it. And he's like, I can't stop. It's gonna get you.
Well, he like gets handcuffed to the tree, right? And so it's just like there's literally like nothing to stop once a cannon is rolling downhill, like I guess until it hits the tree.
Yeah, and I mean, there were some really good stunts in this, you know. It felt like there was a lot of good horseplay, a lot of good, like, explosions. Damn, there were a lot of explosions.
Can you explain to me what what Vince's plan was, where the Mexican soldier comes to town and is basically asking around about the cannon without mentioning the cannon. And Vince is like, oh, I know what a cannon is. Let me show you. And then he lures this guy and all of his other fellow soldiers to this alternate river crossing, and then they dynamite and kill all these guys.
They
Like,
blow the
wow.
shit out of them. Yeah.
Like, it feels at this point like it's in Vince's best interest not to ruffle feathers, to let these guys come into town and either bust Elvis or not, or let him go, or just like be like, no, there's no canon here. I don't know, and like let the soldier go. But to like maliciously, is he just because he's a psychopath? Like to be like, oh no, I know where it is. Follow me, and then they just like blow all these guys up.
I think that's definitely part of it. But I think the other part of it is like, this is like fortuitous for him because they were going to come after those guys sooner or later. And that's what the cannon was for. They stole the cannon so they could be like a force to be reckoned with. So this was almost like an example, right? He's like, yeah, I'm going to show the town and Elvis what we're capable of by luring this little like group of soldiers into a trap and like destroying all of them with our cannon. And that's going to prove that like I'm fucking king shit here right now. And like, you better do what I say. Cause like, I mean, they seem to me like a bunch of Confederates, if you ask me. And they seem to be really kind of like upset about the war. And like, that's part of it too, is like, they're going to take their, rebel justice on the road with this cannon and like just rob and pillage across the country. So yeah, the guy is just like a malicious asshole for sure. Yeah. And I can't recall seeing a leader of a gang keep his cool this fucking much in a movie. Like, he is like ice cold, this guy. He, even when his brother gets like arrested, he's like, we gotta leave him behind then. That's it, right? Isn't he the one who's like, we gotta push on? Or was it the other guys that were like, we gotta just push on? And he's like, maybe you're right. Maybe you like, it's just too much trouble or some shit. I feel like there was a moment where he's like considering, even he's just like, well, he's an idiot. He got caught. Like, we should just let him, let's just keep going.
Yeah, I feel like this guy is this is sort of a Dom Toretto where it's just like, no, we're a family, we stick together. Like, I think that he wanted the brother back because like other people were like, I'm leaving. It's like, no, you're not leaving. You're in this for life. But it's like a menacing sort of Dom Toretto.
And instead of Tej, we have the dynamite guy.
Yeah, it works. I'm trying to see because I wrote down notes, but like again, there's not a lot that sort of happens. Like there's, Elvis wanted to go straight. He wanted to mine gold. It was a skinny vein. And he missed their heist. He left the crew, missed their heist, the prize victory cannon from Mexico, which is the cannon that fired the shot that freed Mexico. And instead of melting it down like the short-term plan, he's going to auction it off, which seems like a really weird, like you can't like publicly auction stolen national memorabilia, but like whatever. But there is the scene after that we mentioned earlier where Elvis lassos a horse, breaks the horse, like tames the horse.
Yeah.
And then rides off. I'm like, that's pretty cool. But then there's just like a lot of early movie here where they're just kind of riding around.
Yeah. Like, there's a lot of scenic stuff, right?
Which again looks pretty good, but it's also at the same time, it's like, just get to something. Yeah. Like they're not moving plot forward.
That's your filler. That's why it's not an episode of a show, is because it's like people just wanted to see the vistas too.
Well,
we're
used
the same
to
thing
it. Where like there's like the blustery storm that rolls in, the gang can't handle. They're like, I'm done. I'm moving on or whatever. I don't know what that's showing us. Like, I don't know what that tells us, other than there's like maybe a little bit of infighting in the gang, but also I would kind of assume that, but I don't know.
I'm not sure on that one either.
I
actually wanted more of that storm because it looked pretty cool and frightening.
Yes.
Yeah.
Billy Roy does at one point take Tracy hostage, as Elvis is like, just put your hands up, walk out. I'll follow you out. There'll be no trouble.
Oh, yeah. That's when the sheriff gets his ass shot up.
Yeah. And so he shoots the sheriff, and then Elvis punches him, and the whole town basically carries him to jail. And that's when Elvis is deputized because the sheriff is convalescing in bed.
But he didn't shoot the deputy, so I just had to get that in.
He did not shoot the deputy.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. I thought they were just going to pin the shield on Elvis for the rest of the movie, but he's like kind of the reluctant. He's like, I'm going to stick around and clean up this town, but I ain't going to be no sheriff or nothing like that. And also, like, a lot of the movie, even though it seems like the town likes and knows Elvis from like from before, like a lot of them also seem to believe that he did steal the cannon because he has the mark, and they're just gullible people from the 1800s that are stupid. Like I get that vibe of the town as well, where at first they're like, oh yeah, look, he's like helping us from this bandit and he threw him in jail. Cool, we like him. And then they see a wanted poster with his likeness in the thing, and they're like, turn him in, like get this guy out of here. He's a murderer. But they clearly like, no, he's not the guy. Elvis is like, no, it was set up.
Well, I do think to your point from earlier, like the town folk are nuanced where like when the sheriff is killed, the wife blames Elvis. And I'm like, kind of. Like I can see,
yeah.
And I'm like, this feels kind of like movie cliche, whatever. But at the same time, it's like, no, like she is kind of without Elvis, none of this would have happened.
Yeah, in a way. I mean,
like I don't think she's literally blaming him. Like he's got men
No.
in the mountains with a cannon, but like also, if Elvis didn't roll the town,
well, I feel like the gang would have rolled through at some point and like caused a problem, but yeah, they wouldn't have had like every building blown up, by the end of the movie, and like half of them dead and lying in the streets without arms and shit. But yeah, and that's not a bad point. But again, that's like every movie. That's like you could just be like, remove the main character, and there's no conflict,
right? Well, they're also just like, please, just Elvis, like let him go. Like the guy just wants his brother back. He'll stop bombing our town if you let him go. And Elvis is like, no.
I really like that. I don't know why I really like that. There's like some kind of like
you like the town, or like Elvis's refusal.
I like Elvis about like there's some kind. It feels like something like Superman has to like do. Like put out. He's like, look, man, this is justice. This is truth.
Yep.
Like we have to keep him there no matter what. And they're like, let him go, you asshole. You alien.
I also love that Elvis seems to like be the smartest guy in the room without really showing it. Like when he goes to the doctor to have his neck wound tended to, they're like, that Vince is going to roll into town and just like get his brother. He's like, no, it's whatever. And then like after he finishes the neck, like the appointment, the treatment, whatever, Elvis like unlock it, and like there's a locked closet in the doctor's office or wherever, like the town whatever. Yeah. And the guy's just like in there. Like Elvis brought the prisoner with him. Like that's like such a weird, specific, like cool, smart thing to do.
I love when he goes to see Tracy and he's like, where is it? Right? And she's like, I got it. Don't worry, I got it. And it's his fucking pistol. Mm-hmm. She brings out the gun and like the holster and everything. And he's like, thanks for holding on to my cock. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Literally. Not literally, but literally.
Oh, no, but like, yeah. Like, she's got his shaft in her hand.
And it's also nice that there's like a future for him and Tracy. Apparently, we're like, he's riding off. He's like, I'm going to go turn Vince in, but I'm coming back for you. And then the movie ends. Mm-hmm. And we have kind of like cool, like unlike where it just says like, marriage, kiss, the end, we get like Elvis Presley as Jess Wade, and there's like a little bit of a video of him like in little squares. Like that's kind of a cool stylized like that's also the bummer where it's like Elvis's film career, not that like there weren't good movies in the 60s, because of course there are good movies in the 60s and the 50s and every decade before, but it feels like they're like movies are about to get like real weird and good and he steps away. You know what I mean? Just like imagine if he was like acting in like the early mid 70s, like
who's to know? What, dude? I mean, maybe he could have been in like. Well, I mean, was Ocean's 11 out yet? The original Ocean's 11.
That thing was the early 60s. I think we looked it up recently.
Put him in that. Put him in the original Ocean's 11.
I know.
So.
No, because there's no way that was in the 70s. That was 1960 flat. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. Oh, Ocean's 12. The original Ocean's 12 that never got made. I don't like that original Ocean's 11.
I've never seen it.
It's a rough watch.
I've never heard good things about it. I've heard that it's just kind of like boys will be boys kind of. And I'm like, no, I'm good.
It looks kind of cool. Like there's some nice visuals, but it's Vegas. That's why. It's no Charro.
Do you have other notes, other thoughts about Charro?
Let's see. We covered a lot. We actually you're right. There isn't a lot of beats in this movie because we talked about like almost every single one of them. No, I was pleasantly surprised that this is like a legit stand with it type of Western. Like it's a movie, like they didn't try and it's weird. They didn't try and make it an Elvis film. It's just like, they just cast Elvis in this movie, which is great. I love that.
It's just like, we need a guy who looks like he could be tough and handsome and
just it's like King Creole Elvis is what it, remember? Because it's like that King Creole is just like a movie that seems like a couple other guys probably could have pulled off, but they got Elvis and he fucking kills it. And this feels like very similar to that, even though it's on the opposite end of the spectrum of his entire career. I get that same energy and vibe with this movie.
So, Mike, we can't do the forced songs because there are no songs in this movie. It's just an NA. The best Elvis song is Charro because it's the only one. Our guesses for this movie, I said he was a singing cowboy working at a rodeo. Have we guessed this before? Nevertheless. He's like a barrel boy or something. He falls in love with a girl there, a return to grounded Elvis. Almost could not be further from the truth. You said a classic Western. He's working on a ranch run by an old mean guy, a Lancer situation. He falls in love like a place in the sun with a rancher's beautiful daughter or wife, a serious Elvis Western. Them courting in secret, trying not to get caught by the guy running the ranch. So you knew that it was going to be like serious, classic, whatever.
I
but
wanted
like,
it to be.
The details were not at all.
Yeah.
I think our issue recently now is we are predicting based on like past Elvis and not we're getting to new ground.
Good point. Good point. Yeah. Well, we didn't know that. We didn't know we were going to be on like a different plateau at this point.
I know.
But I'm glad we
So I have a thought. The next movie is called The Trouble with Girls, and I have a thought.
Okay.
Despite everything I just said, I think will be a return to sex comedy Elvis. Because I have this thought, I'm like, The Trouble with Girls, where he's like an older guy, like trying to teach younger girls older guy trying to teach younger guys about like how to pick up girls.
Oh,
but
like
I think the issue though with that idea is he can't be an older guy. I think he's got to be like, essentially, again, it's going to be shifted, but like senior in high school talking to freshman in high school. It's like, he's like a little bit older, but he's still like real prime.
Was that it? Was it Hitch or Alfie? What's the Will Smith remade it? He's like a ladies' man, and also like that Ryan Gosling film with
Crazy Stupid Love.
Crazy Stupid Love. It's like that kind of situation where he's like, what do they call
I think it's
a
like
pickup artist. He's a pickup artist.
He's somewhat of a pickup artist. He's like obviously very successful at picking up women. He's like, the trouble with girls is they love you too much, like something like that, right? Where there's a couple kids who are like or younger, whatever. People who are unlucky in love, and he's got to coach them through.
He's the love guru.
While he's trying to like live this freewheeling, it is Crazy Stupid Love. Like that's just what it is. While he's trying to pick up girls and have these like one night stands, he falls in love.
I love it. I love that. It's kind of funny. I got to mention it because I had an idea in college for a script that didn't make it past like the group. Like you have to like kind of pitch a couple ideas and log lines. And I had one called The Wing Girl. And it was about a girl and guy who were best friends and they would help each other at bars, like pick people up, like you're my wingman, you're my wing girl and like that. And then eventually they end up falling in love with each other.
I think that's also, there's the new Dakota Johnson movie with Pedro Pascal and Chris Evans that A24 is producing, where she is
I just got like an instant boner.
I know, it's a lot of good-looking people in that movie, where she is trying to set people up, like she is like a matchmaker, and she broke up with Chris Evans, and she sort of starts falling in love with Pedro Pascal. I don't know, but it feels like that kind of thing where just like, I feel like that's also, the wedding planner or whatever. It's like where a person's job becomes like what they have to like go through, whatever.
They should make a movie about the people who started video dating back in the 80s. That would be a crazy story, I'm sure.
I think it's been in movies. I don't think there's been a movie about it, but yeah. What do you think The Trouble with Girls is about?
Oh boy. Elvis has too many girlfriends. I'm going with that. I'm going with like he's got a girl for almost every day of the week and he's got to pick which one he really wants to be with. And there's probably like a song about each of them. And then like he meets his girl Friday, let's say, like, I fell in love with the girl on Wednesday or whatever. He finally wants to like just be with one of them. This is terrible writing, but I'm going to say it anyway. He has like a contest to see who could be his girlfriend. And in the end, he gets married to the winner. That would be an Elvis movie like 10 years ago.
I know, that's the thing. I think I think yours is like early Elvis and mine's like mid-late Elvis. Like they're both like,
after you just said to not look back, to try and project, I look all the way back.
I think we're looking back for this one.
I just don't know. I feel like they hit comedy gold with the last one. It's going to be hard, whatever this is, if it's a comedy, if it even is one, to be better than the last one, because that was amazing.
So this is, I don't know how to pronounce this word.
Is it English?
No. Okay, so it's like a Western New York Chautauqua.
Huh.
It's also an adult education and social movement in the U.S. I don't know. We'll find out. Chautauqua manager Walter Hale, Elvis, and his loyal business manager struggled to keep their traveling troupe together in small-town America. I feel like the movie that I've guessed the last 5 movies is this movie. I just didn't guess it. Where like Elvis is a singer on the run or whatever.
Wait,
it's just like, okay.
They're a traveling musical troupe?
Yes.
What year does it take place in? Are they minstrels?
I do not know. Well, at the top of the poster it just says Elvis 69. So maybe... Also on the poster it says The Trouble with Girls, parentheses, and How to Get Into It.
What?
Directed by Peter Tewksbury, who it directed 134 episodes of Father Knows Best, 37 episodes of My Three Sons.
Oh, we're going to get like a sitcom.
Oh, no. He also directed Stay Away Joe.
Oh, no. Look, Joey, you look like you're about to cry.
I'm just looking at different metrics, and none of these look good for us.
There's only 2 movies left, and we get this guy's back.
Well, we know that the Change of Habit one, I think, is the one that people have they wanted us to look forward to for a while.
That's
right?
the last
so, like,
one? Oh, no.
That's the last one. We have one more, eat our vegetables before we get our dessert.
Why didn't they say anything about the last movie? That was amazing.
I don't know.
The fucking dog in the end and all the manic pixie dream girl and shit. That was so good.
I don't know. But
so we have the last movie to look forward to at this point, because this next one is just all right. Well, we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna say anything bad till I, at least like took a look.
Do you have any other thoughts, any other things to say on this episode about Charro or anything?
They should have made more Elvis westerns throughout. Like, it should have been like every couple movies should have been a western, because he fits right in. Like, I don't know how else to say it. Like, I think he looks like a dude who would exist in a western, because like, yes, he's good looking, but like, he's not trying to be good looking in this movie, and has a gruff, full whatever, the beard, and he's dirty. He hasn't changed his clothes the entire movie. Like, he fits. I think it's really good. I wish we had more Western Elvis, even if he did sing 6 or 7 songs and 2 or 3 of them. I don't give a shit. Like,
what's the right number of Elvis songs in a movie?
6.
You think 6? That's a lot, but okay.
I think that's the max. Sweet Spot's probably 5, but like, you got to think there's always going to be one in the title. So that's kind of like the given. 6 is probably pushing.
So 1 over the opening credits and performing 5.
Yeah. That's probably, they got to be bangers.
Okay, sure. I can go with that. Mike, we'll be back at the end of the month, or actually, I'm gonna edit this tomorrow. So sometime late in June for The Trouble with Girls, which pray for us, and then we'll be back after that for Change of Habit, and then TBD after that. We're gonna figure it out, but I know that I have a busy fall, so we'll figure things out.
I am seriously. I just have to throw this in there since we're getting to the end of like this part of the run. I am seriously considering some form of Elvis tattoo to commemorate this podcast. Even if it's just a little TCB somewhere on my ankle.
TCB with the lightning bolt.
Yeah.
His logo.
A little something. Who knows?
Thank you all for listening. Thank you for following along. If you've been following along, if you want to email in King, King, at cageclub.me. Check out cageclub.me for new episodes just about every day. I've got Too Fast, Too Forever every Tuesday. How to Win the Lottery every other Thursday. Monsters of the Madness, when's that coming back? Soon? Fall? Halloween?
Usually Halloween, yeah.
Okay. Coming soon?
Looking forward to it. Yep.
But thank you all once again. I'm Joey Lewandowski.
And I'm Mike Manzi.
And we'll see you next time right here on Viva Pod Vegas. Thank you very much for listening.
All right. Elvis has left the building.